She held a tray of dirty dishes when she saw him walk in with a woman covered in diamonds. The man she once gave everything to didn't even glance her way. Her manager snapped at her to move faster while her heart shattered all over again. What he didn't know was that she still carried a secret from their past, one that could destroy everything he'd built. Would you believe me if I told you that one night could change everything you thought you knew about love and betrayal? This is where everything truly began. The crystal chandelier above table 7 needed cleaning. Maya noticed it as she balanced 4 plates on her left arm and 2 on her right. She'd worked at the Sterling for 3 years now, and she knew every crack in the marble floor, every stain on the white tablecloths that bleach couldn't quite remove. Her feet ached in the cheap shoes she'd worn through at the heels. Her uniform smelled like fryer oil no matter how many times she washed it. "Table 12 is waiting," her manager Richard hissed as he passed. His breath smelled like coffee and impatience. "Move." She moved. She always moved. That's what poor girls did in places like this. They moved fast, kept their heads down, and pretended not to hear the way rich people talked about them like furniture. Maya had gotten good at being invisible. She'd had to be. The kitchen doors swung open with a blast of heat and shouting. Chef Marcus was screaming at someone about undercooked salmon. Maya slid the dirty plates onto the steel counter and grabbed the order for table 12. Lobster thermidor. Wagyu beef. A bottle of wine that cost more than her monthly rent. She arranged everything on her tray with the careful precision of someone who couldn't afford to make mistakes. When she pushed back through the doors into the dining room, the world stopped. He was standing at the host station. Maya's hands went numb. The tray wobbled. She caught it just before $200 worth of food crashed to the floor. Her breath caught somewhere between her throat and her chest and refused to move. Daniel. He looked different. His hair was shorter, styled with that expensive casual look that probably cost a fortune. He wore a suit that fit him like it had been sewn onto his body. His watch caught the light, all gold and diamonds. But his eyes were the same. Those dark eyes that used to look at her like she was the only person in the world. Those eyes that had looked at her with nothing when he left. A woman stood beside him. She was tall and perfect, with blonde hair that fell in waves down her back. Her dress probably cost more than Maya's car. Diamonds dripped from her ears, her wrists, her throat. She laughed at something Daniel said, touching his arm with manicured fingers. Maya couldn't move. She stood there in the middle of the dining room with a tray of cooling food, staring at the man who had destroyed her. "Excuse me." A customer's voice cut through her paralysis. "Our food." She jerked into motion, delivering the plates with shaking hands. The couple at table 12 didn't notice. Rich people never noticed the staff unless something went wrong. Maya's mind screamed at her to run, to hide, to do anything except stand there in her stained uniform while Daniel and his perfect girlfriend got seated. At table 7. Right in her section. "No," she whispered. "Please no." But Richard was already gesturing at her, his face tight with irritation. She had no choice. She picked up 2 menus and walked toward the table like she was walking toward her own execution. Daniel didn't look up as she approached. He was checking his phone, his expression distant and focused. The blonde woman was studying the wine list with the kind of serious concentration people gave to important decisions. "Good evening," Maya said. Her voice came out steady. She was proud of that. "My name is Maya and I'll be your server tonight. Can I start you with something to drink?" Daniel's head snapped up. Their eyes met. For one terrible, beautiful second, she saw recognition flash across his face. Saw something that might have been shock or surprise or maybe even regret. Then it was gone, replaced by polite blankness. He didn't know her. Or he was pretending he didn't. "Water for me," the blonde woman said, not looking up from the wine list. "Sparkling. And bring us a bottle of the Chateau Margaux 2015. Maya wrote it down with numb fingers. She couldn't look at Daniel. If she looked at him, she would break. "Any appetizers?" she managed. "The oysters," Daniel said. His voice was deeper than she remembered. Smoother. The voice of a man who'd learned to command rooms. "And the foie gras." She wrote it down. Her hand was shaking now. She couldn't control it. "Very good," she said. I'll have that right out. She turned to leave before he could say anything else. Before he could reveal that he knew exactly who she was and had chosen to ignore her anyway. Her eyes burned, but she wouldn't cry. Not here. Not in front of all these people who already looked down on her. In the kitchen, she leaned against the wall and pressed her hands to her face. Her whole body trembled. You okay? Carlos, one of the other servers, touched her shoulder. You look like you've seen a ghost. I'm fine, she lied. Just tired. She wasn't fine. She would never be fine again. The memories crashed over her like waves. Daniel at 22, standing outside her apartment building in the rain. Daniel kissing her for the first time under the broken streetlight on 5th Street. Daniel promising her that they'd make it, that his family's money didn't matter, that he loved her and that was enough. Daniel leaving. She'd been 21 when they met. She'd been working 2 jobs, trying to save money for school, trying to build something better than the life she'd been given. He'd walked into the coffee shop where she worked mornings, ordered a black coffee, and smiled at her like she was extraordinary. For 2 years, they'd been everything to each other. He'd told her about his family's business, about the pressure to join the company, about how he wanted something different. She'd told him about her dreams of going back to school, maybe becoming a teacher. They'd made plans. Small, perfect plans about a future together. Then his father had gotten sick. Daniel had gone home to help with the company. He'd promised it was temporary. He'd stopped answering her calls after 3 weeks. She'd gone to his family's house once, desperate and heartbroken. The security guard had turned her away at the gate. She'd sent letters, emails, text messages. Nothing. After 6 months, she'd understood. She wasn't good enough for his world. She'd never been good enough. Now here he was, 6 years later, sitting in her section with his perfect girlfriend, acting like Maya had never existed. She forced herself to go back out. To bring the water and the wine. To take their dinner order. Daniel ordered the ribeye. The blonde woman ordered sea bass. They discussed business mergers and property investments like Maya wasn't standing there, like she was part of the furniture. Will there be anything else? She asked. No, thank you, the blonde woman said dismissively. But Daniel looked up. Their eyes met again. This time something flickered in his expression. Something that made her heart twist. Actually, he said slowly, have we met before? The blonde woman glanced at him, then at Maya, her perfectly shaped eyebrows rising slightly. Maya's throat closed. She couldn't breathe. I don't think so, sir, she managed. I'll put your order in. She walked away before he could respond. Before the careful mask she'd built could crack completely. The rest of the dinner service passed in a blur of automatic movements. She brought their food, refilled their drinks, cleared their plates. Daniel watched her sometimes. She could feel his gaze on her back, heavy and confused. Or maybe she was imagining it. Maybe he really didn't remember her at all. When they finished, the blonde woman handed Maya a credit card without looking at her. Maya processed it with shaking hands. The receipt printed. She brought it back to the table. Daniel signed it. His signature was different now, more confident, more elaborate. He left a $300 tip on a $500 meal. Maya stared at the number. Guilt money? Or had he really forgotten her so completely that she was just another faceless server to him? They stood to leave. The blonde woman walked ahead, already on her phone. Daniel paused beside the table. He looked at Maya one more time. You look familiar, he said quietly. Are you sure we haven't met? Maya's heart hammered against her ribs. This was her chance. She could say it. She could remind him. She could watch him remember everything they'd been and everything he'd thrown away. No, sir, she said instead. I'm sure we haven't. His jaw tightened. He nodded slowly, like he didn't quite believe her but wasn't going to push it. Have a good evening, he said. Then he walked away. Maya stood there holding the receipt with its impossible tip, watching him disappear through the restaurant doors. Watching him walk out of her life again. She made it through the rest of her shift on autopilot. Made it to the parking lot. Made it into her car before the tears finally came. She sat there in the dark, sobbing so hard her whole body shook, mourning the girl she'd been and the man he'd pretended to be. Her phone buzzed. A text from her roommate asking if she was working late? Maya started to reply, then stopped. There was another notification. An email. She almost ignored it, but something made her click on it. It was from an address she didn't recognize. The subject line said, "I need to explain." Her hands went cold. She opened it. "Maya, I know it's been 6 years. I know I have no right to contact you. But I saw you tonight and I can't pretend anymore. We need to talk. There are things you don't know. Things about why I left. Please. Tomorrow. 3 p.m. The Madison hotel lobby. I'm begging you." It was signed Daniel. Maya stared at the screen until her vision blurred. Part of her wanted to delete it. To block him. To protect herself from being destroyed by him all over again. But another part of her, the part that had never stopped wondering why, needed to know. The Madison Hotel was the kind of place Maya had only seen in magazines. Crystal and marble and wealth so thick you could taste it. She stood outside at 2:55 p.m., wearing the nicest dress she owned and feeling like an imposter. The doorman looked at her like he was trying to decide if she belonged there. She pushed through the gold-plated doors before she could lose her nerve. The lobby was enormous. Chandeliers hung from ceilings 3 stories high. A piano played somewhere, soft and melancholy. Leather couches arranged around glass tables. Everything sparkled. Daniel sat on one of the couches near the back. He stood when he saw her, and the movement was so familiar it hurt. He'd always stood when she entered a room. Some old-fashioned habit from his wealthy upbringing that he'd been embarrassed about. "You came," he said. Relief flooded his face. "I almost didn't," Maya said. She stayed standing, kept distance between them. "Say what you need to say." He looked tired up close. There were lines around his eyes that hadn't been there before. His expensive suit couldn't hide the exhaustion in his shoulders. "Can we sit?" he asked. "Please." She sat on the edge of a chair across from him. Every muscle in her body was tense, ready to run. "I'm sorry," Daniel said. The words came out rough. "I'm so sorry, Maya. For all of it. For disappearing. For not explaining. For last night. You acted like you didn't know me," Maya said. Her voice shook. "You sat there with your girlfriend and you acted like I was nobody." "She's not my girlfriend," Daniel said quickly. "Vanessa is my father's business partner's daughter. We're supposed to be engaged. That's what our families want." Maya laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Supposed to be?" "I haven't asked her," Daniel said. "I won't. Why should I care?" The words came out sharp. "You left me 6 years ago without a word. You broke every promise you ever made. Now you're here because you saw me serving you dinner and suddenly you remember I exist." "I never forgot you existed," Daniel said. His voice cracked. "Not for one single day." "Then why?" Maya stood up. She couldn't sit anymore. The hurt was too big, too raw. "Why did you disappear? Why did you ignore my calls? Why did you let security turn me away from your house like I was some kind of criminal?" "Because my father threatened to destroy you," Daniel said. Maya froze. Daniel stood too, running his hands through his hair in the anxious gesture she remembered. "When I went home, when I told him about us, he investigated you. Your background. Your family. He found out about your mother's debt, about your brother's legal trouble, about every struggle you'd ever had. And he told me that if I didn't end it, he would make sure you never worked anywhere in this city again. He would ruin your credit. He would make sure your brother went to prison. He would destroy your entire life." The words hit Maya like physical blows. She sat back down, suddenly dizzy. "I didn't believe him at first," Daniel continued. His eyes were wet now. "I thought he was bluffing. But then he showed me. He'd already started. He'd gotten your brother's parole officer to start violation proceedings. He'd contacted the landlord at your apartment building. He had the power to do it, Maya. He had the connections and the money and the complete lack of morality. So you just left," Maya whispered. "You just decided for me." "I was 23 and terrified," Daniel said. "My father had just had a stroke. The doctors said stress could kill him. He told me that choosing you over the family would put him in the ground. And I believed him because I wanted to believe him because it was easier than fighting. Easier than fighting for me, Maya said. Yes. Daniel's voice broke completely. I was a coward. I told myself I was protecting you, but I was really protecting myself. From having to stand up to him. From having to choose. Maya pressed her hands to her face. She couldn't look at him. I built the company, Daniel said. After he died 2 years ago, I took over. I've spent every day since trying to be worth something. Trying to build something good enough that maybe someday I could find you again and you wouldn't look at me with hate. I don't hate you, Maya said. She dropped her hands. I hate that I don't hate you. I hate that seeing you still makes my heart stop. I hate that part of me wants to forgive you. Don't, Daniel said. Don't forgive me. I don't deserve it. Then why am I here? Maya demanded. Why did you ask me to come? Daniel pulled something from his pocket. An envelope. He held it out to her with shaking hands. Because I need you to know that I never stopped loving you, he said. And because I need to try to make this right, even though I know I can't. Maya took the envelope. Inside was a check. She looked at the number and her vision went white. $2 million. What is this? She whispered. It's what I owe you, Daniel said. For the life you could have had if I hadn't been too weak to fight for us. For the education you never got. For the dreams you had to give up because you were too busy surviving. Maya stared at the check. The number didn't feel real. Nothing felt real. I don't want your money, she said. I know, Daniel said. But I'm giving it to you anyway. Because you deserve a chance to build the life you wanted. Because I can't give you back the years I stole, but I can give you this. You think money fixes it? Maya's voice rose. You think this makes up for the nights I cried myself to sleep? For the years I spent thinking I wasn't good enough for you? No, Daniel said. Nothing fixes it. But it's a start. Maya stood up. She dropped the check on the table between them. I don't need your guilt money, she said. I've survived this long without you. I'll keep surviving. She started to walk away. She made it 3 steps before Daniel's voice stopped her. I'm sick, he said. Maya turned slowly. Daniel was still sitting, staring at his hands. The doctors found it 6 months ago. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. They gave me a year, maybe less. The world tilted. That's why I need to make this right, Daniel continued. I don't have time to be a coward anymore. I don't have time to pretend I didn't make the biggest mistake of my life when I let you go. Maya couldn't move. Couldn't speak. I'm not telling you this to manipulate you, Daniel said. I'm telling you because you deserve to know the truth. All of it. I saw you last night and I realized I was running out of time to be honest. Daniel, Maya whispered. She sat back down. Her legs wouldn't hold her anymore. The company, the money, all of it goes to various charities and foundations when I die, Daniel said. Except for what I'm giving you. Because you're the only thing I ever did right, even though I messed it up completely. Stop, Maya said. Just stop. They sat in silence. The piano played on, something classical and sad. I don't know what you want me to say, Maya finally said. I don't want you to say anything, Daniel said. I just wanted you to know. That you mattered. That you still matter. That if I could go back and choose differently, I would choose you 1,000 times. Maya looked at him. Really looked at him. Saw the man he'd become and the boy he'd been and all the lost years between them. I can't forgive you, she said. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I know, Daniel said. But I don't want you to die alone, Maya said. The words surprised her. I don't want you to go through this by yourself. Maya, Daniel said. His voice was rough with emotion. I'm not promising anything, Maya said quickly. I'm not saying we can fix this or go back to what we were. But I'm saying I'll be here. As a friend. As someone who once loved you. That's more than I deserve, Daniel said. Yes, Maya agreed. It is. They sat there in the expensive lobby with years of pain between them and not enough time to heal it all. But it was something. A beginning, or maybe an ending, or maybe both at once. Daniel picked up the check and held it out again. Take it, he said. Not as payment. Not as apology. But as a gift. From someone who wants to see you have the life you deserve, even if I can't be part of it. This time, Maya took it. She folded it carefully and put it in her purse. I'm going back to school, she said. Teaching. Like I always wanted. You'll be amazing, Daniel said. He smiled, and for a moment he looked like the boy she'd loved. You were always amazing. Over the next few months, Maya did go back to school. She quit the Sterling. She found a small apartment near the university, nothing fancy but hers. Daniel texted her sometimes. Simple things. How are classes? Did you see the moon tonight? Remember when we used to get pizza at Sal's? She texted back. Short responses at first, then longer ones. They met for coffee sometimes, in quiet places where no one knew them. They talked about easy things and avoided the hard ones. They learned how to be in each other's presence without bleeding. Daniel got sicker. Maya went with him to appointments sometimes, sat in sterile waiting rooms and held his hand when the news was bad. Vanessa stopped coming around. The business partners faded away. In the end, it was mostly Maya. I don't understand why you're doing this, Daniel said one afternoon. They were in his penthouse apartment, huge windows overlooking the city. He was thin now, moved slowly. Neither do I, Maya admitted. Maybe because you were my first love. Maybe because everyone deserves someone at the end. I don't deserve you, Daniel said. No, Maya agreed. But you have me anyway. He died on a Tuesday in April. Maya was there, holding his hand. His last words were, I'm sorry, and thank you. At the funeral, wealthy strangers in expensive black shook her hand and said meaningless things. She stood apart from them, this girl from nowhere who'd somehow become everything to the man they'd buried. She went back to school. She became a teacher. She helped kids who came from nothing, who had dreams bigger than their circumstances. She thought about Daniel sometimes, about the boy he'd been and the man he'd tried to become at the end. She didn't forgive him, exactly. But she understood him. And maybe that was better. On her desk in her classroom, she kept a small photo. Her and Daniel at 22, laughing at something long forgotten. A reminder that love was complicated and people were flawed and sometimes the best we could do was show up. Years pass differently when you carry someone's memory with you. The classroom fills with new faces each September, each one a chance to build something better. Sometimes late at night, Maya thinks about that boy in the rain and the man in the penthouse, and she whispers forgiveness into the dark. Love doesn't always look the way we think it should, but it's love nonetheless. If this story touched your heart, there are more waiting for you here on this channel. What would you have done in Maya's place? Would you have walked away or stayed? If this story made you feel something real, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe so you never miss a story that matters. Thanks for loving Reddit Storyteller.